Test. All right, it looks like we're good. I'm Patty Schilling. I'm candidate for Associate Circuit Judge. I'm seeking this position because I want to be your next Associate Circuit Judge. I've practiced law in Ozark since 1992. I've represented the citizens of Christian County for more than 22 years. I've represented them in probate matters. I've represented them in family law matters. I've represented them in business matters and real estate matters and just about every type of case you can imagine. I believe that I'm very qualified. I'm invested in Christian County. I believe that I'm the right person to be your next Associate Circuit Judge, and I would appreciate your consideration and your vote on August 5th. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Doug Bacon. I'm a candidate for Associate Circuit Judge. I've lived here in Christian County about 19 years. My wife Mindy and I have raised our 3 kids here. I've practiced law about 19 years. Spent 8 of those years in the prosecutor's office, the rest in private practice. While in the prosecutor's office, I went to court on a daily basis and handled numerous trials. Now in private practice, I still go to court frequently. I currently handle the types of cases that Judge Waters hears. Those include criminal, traffic, probate, civil law. And I have trial experience in all of those. I also have a proven track record of success and integrity in the courtroom. That's a combination our next Associate Circuit Judge needs. And that's also why I'm the best choice for that position. Thank you.
You know, it's interesting, all 3 of us have been to a number of different debates and forums and discussions and all of that. And we've all kind of got a little bit of our own thing, our own spin the way we do it. Like, for example, in my case, I think I'm the best qualified candidate, just like everybody else. But let me explain why. You see, as a person, you have to have something to base your life upon. In my life, I love the Lord with all my heart. That's the first and most important thing. I go to Nixa Assembly of God. My wife has been my rock throughout. And my family have always been the most important things to me. That's the first part. When you are in the courtroom, you need to have an additional basis to base your decisions on. You want someone that is fair, who's impartial, who will look at the law and understand and know the law. And then you want someone who will make sure that only the law is, you're worse than, I started to say somebody, but I won't. Just asking for your vote.
Ms. Schilling, what experience do you have that makes you the best choice for Associate Circuit Judge?
I believe that I have the most broad range of experience. Ron Cleek prosecuted for many, many years. I think he's been in private practice for 4 years. Mr. Bacon, I believe, has practiced for 19 years. I believe he was in the prosecutor's office for 9 years, which means he's been in private practice for about 10 years. I've been in private practice for 27 years. I started doing estate planning and probate, and I've spent the last 5 years doing primarily estate planning and probate. I've done extensive real estate, I've done sophisticated contracts, I've done sophisticated litigation, and I think I have a more well-rounded practice. I think that makes me the most qualified candidate.
Thank you. Mr. Bacon, the same question. What experience do you have that makes you the best choice for Associate Circuit Judge?
Well, as I stated, I've practiced law for 19 years, both in the prosecutor's office and in private practice, so I feel like I've got good experience on both sides of the aisle. I have handled numerous cases that Judge Waters hears, felony, misdemeanor trials, guardianships, other probate matters, civil matters, collection cases, family law, you name it, I've done it. I've got trial experience in those areas, but I also feel like I have a sense of fairness and impartiality and the right temperament to be the judge. I think you want a judge that doesn't let emotion figure into your judgment. I think you want a judge that's going to listen to both sides fairly and completely and then make a firm decision. And also have a firm conviction to follow the Constitution and the law to decide cases in that manner and not try to make laws. Apply the law to the facts, and that's what we need.
Mr. Klee, the same question. What experience do you have that makes you the best choice for Associate Circuit Judge?
Thank you. I've always liked it when somebody else tries to tell me or tell you what my experience is. I started out practicing law in 1985 in Shawnee, Oklahoma. I've practiced in 2 different states. When I was in Shawnee, Oklahoma, we did multi-million-dollar cases. That's what I worked on. The last full year I was in Oklahoma, we had a $685,000 attorney fees brought in. Do you know how many members of that firm I was in? 2. We worked hard. I know what I'm doing. Then I've done divorces. I have practiced law in a private practice situation the entire 30 years, with the exception of the last 4 years of me being prosecutor. As a prosecutor, I've tried approximately 200 jury trials. Those 200 jury trials is not like going in front of a bench trial. I've spent the entire day today, for example, with the exception of running here to the OC to have one forum or another. You're going to blow that thing, aren't you? Let me just tell you, I've done 200 jury trials, and that's a whole lot different than just trying a case.
Ms. Schilling, how long have you lived in Christian County, and can you describe your community involvement?
I've lived in Christian County since 1991. When I moved here in 1991, my daughter was in the 3rd grade. We came from Mount Vernon. I actually worked in Springfield, and then in 1992, I opened my practice. Of course, I was busy raising my daughter. She graduated in 2001. I have, since she graduated, I've been involved in several things. I have belonged to both the Nixa and the Ozark Chamber of Commerce since 2006. I have also been a member and a trustee of Cassidy United Methodist Church. I am a member of the Hay Foundation. I'm a member of the Christian County Optimist Club. I basically was the director of the Finley River Saddle Club for 10 years, and I have been on the Fair Board since 2006. I go to meetings, you can ask my mother, about 3 nights a week, so I do keep busy, and I am involved in the community.
Should I go ahead or you?
Oh, sorry, Mr. Bacon. I was sleeping. You may answer that question.
I've lived here in Christian County about 19 years. As I said earlier, my wife Mindy and I have raised our 3 kids here, Connor, Shelby, Garrett Bacon. As they were growing up, I took it upon myself to always coach them in their youth activities, so I've been a youth coach in many different sports. It seems like they played them all: basketball, football, baseball, softball, soccer, you name it. I've also been a longtime church member here in Ozark. I attended Hopedale Baptist Church for many years, and most of my volunteering was through the church. We would do outreach programs. We might go pick an older person's house that had been damaged in a storm, and we'd go pick up limbs at their house. We would clean up various things around the community, whether it be individuals or schools that needed a little help. Thanks.
We'll get started before he starts even looking at the watch.
Mr. Klee, how long have you lived in?
I have been in this county since the early to mid-90s. Tricia and I brought our sons here. They started off at Springfield Lutheran, and then when we got to the point we wanted to bring them into school, We brought them over into Nixa School. Nixa and Ozark districts are two of the best districts for kids anywhere. All right, been here since the 90s. My practice, I have been practicing law in this community, not solely, but for the most part, since 2011. I was a prosecutor then. The one thing I need to make sure that you understand, I didn't just do prosecutor work. When I came to Christian County, I didn't have to do some additional work because it was considered a part-time job. And I worked 60 to 80 hours a week doing that, and I worked every night and on weekends at home doing personal injury work. Keep your hand off that thing, you know?
Serves as a gavel. Ms. Schilling, why do you want to be elected to the position of Associate Circuit Judge?
I would like to be elected as Associate Circuit Judge because I think I would serve the residents of Christian County well. I've practiced here, I've represented the citizens, and I would like to continue to do that. I want to be because I believe it's the natural progression of my practice. I would be honored to be, and I believe that I would use good judgment and I would make fair decisions, and I think that the people would be pleased if they elect me as Associate Circuit Judge.
Mr. Bacon, the same question. Why do you want to be elected Associate Circuit Judge?
I have always admired public service and public servants, the people that put themselves out there for the public. And in the 19 years I've practiced law, I've appeared in front of lots of different judges all over Southwest Missouri, and I certainly consider them public servants. Certainly have admired them and the work that they do. And I believe that I'd certainly be honored to be elected, and I certainly feel like I'm qualified for the position, and I believe that's what Christian County deserves, is someone who's going to take it seriously, always be respectful to the people who appear in front of him, but also be worthy of the public's respect, and who's going to show the utmost integrity the whole time they're in there. And that's what I intend to do if I'm elected. Thank you.
Mr. Cleek, why do you want to be elected to that position?
I will explain to you that in the 1980s, early 1980s, mid-1980s, I was in Shawnee, Oklahoma. I told you about the fact that we dealt with $1 million cases. But you know something? That wasn't enough. I sought and obtained a job in Greene County as an assistant prosecutor. That's where most of the trials I did were performed. I did that not because I just needed a job. I did that because I want to be a public servant, always have been. Now, since I left the prosecutor's office, I've made more money than I ever did in that office. But that's, again, not the point. Anybody who thinks that they're going to be judged and make a bunch of money and do nothing really doesn't understand the fact that being a judge, being a prosecutor, hold on. Oh, just give me 1 second, okay? That either way, it is a public service. And I'll take the pay cut and I will be happy to be your judge.
We're going to reverse the order for a little while. And now to you, Mr. Cleek. In your view, what is the most important attribute a judge should bring into the courtroom?
Respect. Being respectful, being calm, being deliberate, being willing to listen to everyone, and then make a decision. Once you make that decision, you need to live by it and tell the folks why you do that. When I was prosecutor of Christian County, anybody that came to my door, I talked to. I spent time with. When someone came in and asked me, why did you or did not file a particular case, I talked to them. I thought that was my job. As judge, I will show them the same respect. See, I've had 3 good teachers over the last several years. One being now Larry Luna, the other John Waters, and finally the late Mark Ward. No matter what happened in jury trials with him, he stayed calm. And that's what I bring, and I can be that judge for you.
Mr. Bacon, what is the most important attribute a judge should bring to the courtroom?
Integrity. That's what the judge needs. And right there with integrity and parcel to the same is fairness and impartiality. Those are the things that a judge needs. There's a famous saying that justice is blind. In fact, there's a famous statue that has justice with a blindfold holding a scale of justice. What that means is the judge has to be fair, the judge has to be impartial no matter who comes in front of him. The judge not supposed to look at what the person looks like, what the person dresses like, what the person sounds like, talks like. They apply the law to the facts without regard to that. And that's the most important thing for the courts to be respected and the judge to have integrity, be fair, and be impartial.
Ms. Schilling, finally to you. What is the most important attribute a judge should bring to the courtroom?
Well, I always thought that was a one-word answer, but if I'm gonna spend a minute, obviously it is not. I believe the most important attribute is common sense and good judgment. You need your education, you need to be well-trained, but you have to have common sense. If you're lacking common sense, you can listen all day and you will not reach the proper result. As an attorney, I often felt that one of my weaknesses was I could see both sides to every story. I think as a judge, it's very important that you see both sides to every story and that you listen to both sides of every story before you make a decision. And it's true, you cannot go in with your prejudices, you cannot go in favoring one person, and you cannot decide the case based upon something you learn outside the evidence. You have to take your people, be kind to them, be firm with them, listen to the evidence, and apply the law to the evidence.
Thank you. Here's a quick job interview question, starting with Mr. Cleave. Have you served as a judge before?
The only time I can say I've ever served as a judge would be that of moot court or teen court. I have not been a judge other than that. But you know, I don't think anybody else here has either, so we're all going to be on the same footing. Can I handle dealing with the pressure? Can I listen to everyone? Can I make the decisions? We've all said kind of the same thing, that when it comes down to the law and the decisions that are made, you need to sit there, you need to listen, you need to make that decision, and then you need to live by that decision, no matter what it is. You need to live by that decision, and you need to tell them. And if someone comes and asks later, why? You better tell them exactly why and talk to them and explain it to them.
Mr. Bacon, have you served as a judge before?
The only time I would say that I've ever served as a judge was one time I judged a debate tournament. And let me tell you, that's quite an experience. But being a judge it requires some of the same things that you have to deal with as a parent. And I've raised 3 kids, and there's been disputes between them. And in the interest of fairness, you have to hear both sides completely and fully, and then render a firm decision. And that's what I intend to do if elected your next judge.
Ms. Schilling, have you served as a judge before?